In 2025, as a business owner, you have to show up online. That's not a question anymore. It's almost a must. But because of this nature of the thing, posting on social media can sometimes feel so freaking exhausting. And if you're anything like me, you would write a post and then rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it and just keep on editing till you just feel like you want to throw something out of analysis paralysis. We keep creating content with the ideal that we would have to, create something that's perfect. But if you worry more about how you sound rather than what you're saying, then it means you probably haven't found your authentic voice just yet. And I think that's super natural. I think that none of us are meant to talk in a way that we have to on social media. We are used to conversations. We are not used to standing on the stage and giving speeches. But today, that's what we just simply have to do. Look at me recording this video. This is probably take 7, 8, 9. The point I'm trying to make is that we set almost unattainable expectations to ourselves. We have an idea, a vision of how we should sound, and if we don't sound 100% like that, we start criticizing ourselves. And because of the criticism, it feels like a task you don't really want to do. But on the other hand, you have to do. And this is how showing up online becomes a very performative task. And I believe this is something we all go through. And if you really resonate with what I'm saying right now, that doesn't mean that you're not cut out for it. It just means that probably you're in the beginner stage of, showing up online and having a one-sided conversation with your audience, and that is perfectly fine. The more you keep practicing, the better you're gonna get at it, and the more natural it's going to. So today, I brought you 5 signs that show that you don't suck at social media. You just have to keep practicing till you find your authentic voice, and maybe you're just not there yet. Hi, my name is Mercedes, and I help women fall in love with their businesses again. On this channel, we learn how to make decisions out of authenticity rather than fear or survival. We use self-development practices, and we're embracing our femininity in order to find our true authentic selves. I truly believe that this is the only way it's worth building a business, and this is the only way you can build a lovable business. So if you're interested in these topics, go ahead and check out my other videos as well. Okay, let's get into it. So the first sign that shows that you don't suck at social media, you may have just not found your true authentic voice yet, is the fact that you find yourself keep borrowing other people's words. You might catch yourself mimicking the leaders or the creators that you admire, almost stealing their style and voice, their tone and the vocabulary they use. But the more you keep doing this, the more inauthentic everything feels to you, obviously, and it will never feel natural to show up in this way. And it doesn't mean that you're being dishonest. It just means that you haven't really tapped into how your voice sounds like out there in the universe. So the way you can actually completely shift out of this is to take a piece of another creator's words or copy or whatever and try to sit down and write it down in your own words. Imagine as if you were talking to a friend. The point is to keep it quirky, keep it unpolished, and keep it as typical of you as possible, because those will be the fingerprints to your voice. And these are typically things you might not even realize because you are the one who keeps saying them, but your friends, your family, and people who listen to you can recognize that this tone or this way of speaking belongs to you. Okay, so the second sign that you haven't found your authentic voice yet, probably, is the fact that you tend to respond to anyone challenging you instantly, verbally speaking. What I mean here is when someone questions you or writes a mean comment or has just simply an opposing opinion, you feel the need to go instantly in and answer that person, trying to prove the legitimacy of your reasoning or stopping the fire before it gets too big. But this action is actually diminishing your authority instead of building credibility for you. And the way you can shift out of this is to give yourself space, maybe even some rules on when and how to respond to others. I'm a huge believer in taking our time to ride out the emotional wave and only responding out of clarity and not out of anger or snappiness. Your influence comes from the clarity of your words and not from the speediness of your replies. And you see, there is some power in silence. Okay, so the third sign that you don't suck at social media, you may have just not found your authentic voice yet, is the fact that you feel like you want to disappear when someone disagrees with you. This is a very typical phenomenon that stems from insecurity. And honestly, who wouldn't be insecure when all eyes are on you? But disagreements in the online space that are so public shouldn't make you feel like you failed. And surprise, surprise, you don't have to convince everyone about the validity of your points. And this is the way you can shift out from this. You simply have to understand and accept that you're never going to be everybody's cup of tea. And that's okay. You don't have to win people over. Those who resonate with what you're saying are already following you, are already subscribed to you. So just stay rooted in what you believe is true, and you will realize how magnetizing that is. So the fourth sign that you don't suck at social media, you may have just not found your authentic voice yet, is that you're always hyper aware of how you're being perceived. And I am guilty of this 100%. Every live, every email, every video feels like I'm up on a stage and I'm about to give the speech of the year. But as humans, we don't want this kind of communication. We are used to conversation. When you work behind your online persona, you are perceived as someone who's prone to failure, and if you fail, others might actually point that out to you. But that shouldn't hold you back. And the way you can work with this is to imagine as if you were talking to a friend. Imagine your best friend. Try to figure out what words would you use with them, what colloquialisms. Don't think about having like a full-on audience, because you will never know how many people you're actually going to reach. I also like to remind myself that I am not a corporation. Working a decade with huge enterprises has really just wired my brain to speak and write a certain way when it comes to online communications, but that's not what feels natural to me. And if you're running a business that you want to be truly lovable to you, then you want your messages to be as authentic to you as possible. And go ahead, leave space for making errors and try to focus on the connection with your audience. That will make life so much easier, and producing content and putting things out there that much more of a breeze. Okay, so we're nearing the end of this video. The fifth and final sign that shows that you don't suck at social media, you might just have to find your true authentic voice, is how much you obsess over how people will interpret you. But do you realize that that is actually a losing game? There's no way we could ever anticipate how many different interpretations will be there of the message we're trying to deliver. And trust me, even if you read your posts 3, 4, 5 times, you're never gonna be proof. You're never gonna be able to avoid misunderstandings. So the way to shift out of this is to really focus on easing the grip on things. As I said, you will never be able to anticipate how many different ways people can misunderstand your messages. And that's okay, because you're not supposed to know. Your only task, your only focus should be as friendly and well-intentioned as possible. And apart from that, let your actions speak for themselves. I'm talking from experience when I say that finding your voice isn't an aha moment. It's something that happens gradually, and it has its ups and downs. But I think it's still better to sound a little bit too much like yourself than to edit everything out. But if you still feel that you're in that messy middle, go ahead, post that thing, girlfriend, because your voice is already there. You just need to throw out most of your filters.